think we're live. You can never tell with these things, you know? I mean, like...
Mine says live on the upper left. I got a little...
Yeah. It says we're live, so I'm just going to assume that we're live because, like, I know it's like a little delay and stuff. I don't want my intro to get bitten off. But anyway, so we're live. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the 6th Round Post-Fight Show with me, Zane Simon, and my co-host, as always, Eddie Mercado. We're coming to you all straight from the conclusion of UFC Fight Night. Holloway versus Allen, UFC Kansas City going down at the T-Mobile Center, the second-rate T-Mobile Arena in Kansas City, Missouri. I'm sorry, Kansas. You know what? I'm not saying that Bill Algeo is right or anything. I'm just saying that, like, you know, I've never thought to myself, I really need to go travel and visit Kansas City.
Yeah, I mean, well,
they've got barbecue.
There's a lot of places that, you know, no one's like clamoring to go visit or tour or anything like that. And I'm sure Kansas City's probably one of them. Yeah, unless you're listening, unless you're one of our patrons who's from Kansas City, in which case,
in which case you live in the most beautiful city on earth, and I would never say a bad word about it. We love you all. And that reminds me, it's not Patreon, so don't listen to Eddie. But
what do I know?
I know. But we are on Substack. We will be dropping some bonus coverage here on our Substack that will be Substack exclusive. So if you're enjoying this show, go subscribe to our Substack, and you'll get bonus content too. We'll be doing a little bonus. We'll be doing a little star rating, biting off a little Dave Meltz's style, throwing a few extra thoughts on the match on the end of all this, which you can only get if you're a paying Substack subscriber. So if you're watching this on YouTube, jump over to our Substack. Anyway, we are here talking about this UFC Fight Night card. Holloway versus Allen just went down with Max Holloway the old lion slamming the door on the young lion. Of course, in MMA being the kind of sport where the old lion is, 2 years older than the young lion? So,
right. Yeah, I mean, you really have to. The age of the lion really is more indicative of the mileage of the lion.
Yeah. It's a city miles lion against a highway driving lion, and city driving Max Holloway just slammed the door on Arnold Allen, and really one of those fights where, like, you know, the commentary booth, they're doing their thing. It's DC and it's Bisping, and they love getting confused in the middle of fights and just being like, oh, I don't know how to score that. Was that close? I think that was close. And, you know, Allen did well. I don't want to say he just got, like, washed out or pushed out of the fight entirely or anything like that. He had close rounds in several rounds. He kept pace well. He hung in. He landed his own shots. But personally, I had trouble giving Allen any round. I thought the second was fine. That's a fine round. You can argue for him. But even, like, the fifth was, like, his best, most damaging round, where he was really getting the most done in terms of the damage dealt. And, like, oh, you really argue, yeah, he's not landing as many shots, but he's doing all the damage. Maybe he scores a round for him. And then he gets dropped right at the end of the round. And, like, at that point, you're getting outlanded. You got dropped. I'm sorry, but I'm not going to score that round for you either. So
that's the thing. Don't score the round for him in the fifth because he got dropped. Yep. But you do credit him for going for it late.
Yeah,
right? Like that's why he got dropped, because he was opening up, coming outside of himself, being as aggressive as he possibly could. And he paid for it, but he went for it late, so I will credit him with that. But yeah, he got taken to school by Max Holloway, who is, the featherweight king outside. He's the featherweight prince now. Was the king? Yeah. Volkanovski has the king title.
He's the king in exile. It's like when they stuck Napoleon on that rock, and then he just, like, marched right back into France and took everything back again. Max Holloway is still on the rock, so Volkanovski's the little short man in this scenario, though, so I don't really know how good that metaphor, that all works out, but whatever.
And like that was kind of my read on this is Max Holloway is just head and shoulders above the field outside of the champion. And I wasn't anything in Allen's game that I feel like he was going to offer Max that Max hasn't already dealt with or seen in some way, shape, or form. So outside of just maybe Max loses step or Arnold coming up with just something super powerful that just clipped Max out of nowhere, I can see a path to victory for Arnold Allen here. And I like Arnold Allen. He's a talented fighter and he's on his way, but
I think outclassed. Yeah, it was one of those things where thinking about it going in, I'm picking Max Holloway, but I was just like, maybe Allen has shades of what we saw out of Dustin Poirier and what we saw out of Volkanovski, especially in that third fight, where those guys were able to really sit back and they were able to counter Holloway enough that it really made him shy about building that momentum and pressuring and building that wave. Maybe, we've seen Allen, he's sharp on the counter. He's got heavy hands. He's got consistency. Even in this fight, man did not go away for a second, did not stop pressing his game for a minute. But we hadn't seen him put into a situation like this where he had to fight that kind of fight at the high speed that Holloway's going to set. And until you see it happen, how can you pick it to happen? So
yeah, exactly.
Now I'm glad though that you picked Holloway, because I think probably for the rest of the card your picks were much better than mine. They couldn't have been worse. So certainly
my picks weren't great. I had like one super pick. And
you got Edson Barboza right. That was your big win for the evening.
I couldn't believe that the tidal wave of disrespect from the odds makers, the bettors, the pundits, the fans. Everybody was ranked Barboza. Recency bias, maybe because of what Quarantillo is doing. Who is Quarantillo beat?
Yeah, I know. The thing is that like Quarantillo has that swarming, pressuring, crazy man style that Edson Barboza hates. He hates to have somebody just all over him all the time. And Edson Barboza's older. He's had trouble getting wins lately. But this was still one of those things. I was saying all this to myself. I'm like, I'm picking Quarantillo. This is it's the right time to make this pick. But it's also like Quarantillo would be the worst athlete to ever make this style work on Edson Barboza if he makes it work. And that showed up in the cage because he got in on the kind of takedowns that guys like Kevin Lee and guys like Khabib and those kind of dudes, Bryce Mitchell were getting in on, and he had no success at all completing those. And it's just there's a technique difference in there, but there's a strength difference in there too. Quarantillo just not strong enough to take Edson Barboza down.
And an experience different fighting at very, very top. Barboza's fought everybody. And I was rewatching Quarantillo and Shane Burgos' fight. Shane Burgos just fought last night. And I just remember Shane was just chewing up Billy's leg. And I was like, damn, if Shane Burgos, and Shane's great, but he's primarily a boxer. If Shane Burgos is chewing up your leg, you're in deep shit against Edson Barboza. And Barboza only had a couple, but they were significant and they were meaningful. And then I was like, man, Quarantillo's going to come out and he's going to pressure and he's going to force these takedowns. And I was like, man. And then I thought about when Beneil Dariush tried to force a takedown on Barboza and caught that flying knee. And I was like, oh, okay. I didn't expect the knee. I didn't think Barboza was going to get a knockout by it. I thought he'd chew the leg up all night and get a decision. But when the knee landed, I was like, I knew it was there. Like it was there for me to see, but I couldn't quite make the read. But it was there. The writings on the wall were there. And Barboza's an OG, man. Give the man some respect. Put some respect on it.
We disrespected the man. We all paid the price. Right, except for me. I didn't actually pay a price. I'm not betting on anything. So I just get the I just get the tag of being wrong. I can handle that.
It's funny. One of our bloody elbow faithfuls, Matt Berry, he tweeted me and had a parlay going with Mirzakhanov, Barboza, and then finishing out with Arnold Allen. He posted a little screenshot and tagged me, and I was like, "Cash out, cash out! You cannot bet against Max Holloway. Cash out, dude."
Yeah, and, I mean, if I got nothing else, write this card. I'm happy I got that. Speaking of which, though, that Azamat Mirzakhanov, Dustin Jacoby, man, Mirzakhanov. He's looking like the real deal, especially too knowing after the fight he's talking about, hey, I broke my arm, at the end of the second round. And like if that explains his fall off in the third round, that's not so bad, Maybe you could argue it's a tiredness thing, but if you break your arm in there, like that's rough going.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially for a dude who's a very one-handed fighter. Like Mirzakhanov, he lives on that left hand.
It makes sense because I think it was at the start of the third. If you go back and watch the beginning, Mirzakhanov comes out and he's only throwing the lead right hook. And it was still being effective. But honestly, if he hadn't gotten that knockdown at the end of the second in that little flurry, he probably would have lost that round.
He might have.
He would have lost the third, and he might have lost the fight.
He landed a lot of big shots that the booth forgot about early in round 2. I don't want to necessarily say that Jacoby just would have had that round, but Jacoby was he was finding his rhythm. I thought that Jacoby. I really thought he could take this. I thought he's never been knocked out, or he's rarely been knocked out. It's been like Alex Pereira and then a King Mo ground and pound KO in his whole career. And, I figured if Mirzakhanov can't knock him out, then we need to, I got to pick Jacoby. I got to pick him to lead with the volume, land his strikes, all that. It didn't matter. Mirzakhanov just hits too hard. And that's pretty clear now. And
he knows it, right? Like he knows how hard he hits. Like, so, at the end of that second round, he hurts Jacoby, drops him, and then throws like 5 or maybe 6 just overhand lefts in a row, spamming them. And what are you going to do to that? Like, you can't just block it, right? You can't absorb that kind of power. Man, I'm glad he's here.
Dude's a real deal. He's saying now, like, oh, I'm the best Russian in the light heavyweight division. Let me show you what a real Russian fighter is. All that. You know what I want to say? I'm just saying, maybe match him up with Nikita Krylov.
He's Ukrainian, isn't he?
Krylov, he claims
he's a defector.
He's an ethnic Russian. He lives in Russia now.
Okay. Well, good for him, I guess. Sure. If for you, I mean, I was thinking right. I went right to Ankalaev.
Yeah, you're thinking Ankalaev, right in the top contender spot, huh? Off this win over Dustin Jacoby.
I mean, no, but that's what he wants, right?
It is what he wants.
The top 10, and if he wants to play that best Russian card, I mean, why not?
Yeah. Sure. I mean, I would say, like, I think you do the midpoint. I think you do the middle against Nikita Krylov. Nobody's still, beating Dustin Jacoby in the middle of a fight night doesn't make Azamat Mirzakhanov suddenly a known factor to random UFC fans. You put him in contenders. You put him in a fight with man.
Is Johnny Walker booked?
Is Johnny Walker booked? What do we got here? Looking at light heavyweight, Johnny Walker. He's booked against Anthony Smith.
Ah, damn.
Anthony Smith.
That would be perfect.
Yeah. That would be perfect. I think Nikita Krylov, you put him in there with Magomed Ankalaev, you're just going to have a fight between two very good fighters that nobody cares about,
Yeah, I mean, I don't care who he fights, man. Throw him in there with Paul Craig. Like, I don't care. Anybody.
Yeah. So, This was a great fight. Really, really good to see. Hope he wins, and or hope he gets something big out of it. And that brings us to a light heavyweight bout. Iwan Kudalaba, Tanner Boser, and man, Boser. Like, I really thought that Boser could do okay in this bout. Kudalaba, he's got a nasty habit of burning through his own gas tank, of running himself into hard losses. But at the same time, man, that drop from heavyweight to light heavyweight, it is not friendly. Heavyweight is a whole different thing. Dudes are fighting at half the speed they are at light heavyweight. And I think
that point is what makes Jared Cannonier's career so impressive, because he started at heavyweight and he worked down to middleweight, and that's insane to keep up with the speed of the fight as he moved down. Not easy to do. Boser looked great physique wise. Looked like a completely different person. Looked like Tanner Boser's brother or something. So,
yeah,
I mean, I thought that was good to see. Probably a move that should have been made a long time ago.
I mean, he came in at 203. The dude, if he can cut weight like that, the only thing keeping him at heavyweight was snacks, you know?
Oh, for sure. 100%. But that heavyweight chin was not well, he's never been known for having the greatest chin, but it definitely wasn't there.
Good. He's never been an easy fighter to put away. You know, he got TKO. Well, let's see. When's the last time Boser got knocked out? He got knocked out by Tim Hague in 2015. That is the last time Tanner Boser got knocked out. So
I was not expecting this at all.
Yeah.
I mean, I was kind of I guess prepping myself for Iwan's BKFC debut. I feel like it is inevitable. So I'll just have to shelf that dream for a little bit.
That's right, and it continues to be a thing. Like, if you were winning at heavyweight, if heavyweight was treating you okay, you weren't just losing all the time, just stay at heavyweight. You know, like, if you're tough enough to be at heavyweight, Boser was tough enough. He wasn't getting knocked out.
No, Zane, you got that wrong, my friend. You couldn't be more wrong.
No,
like, you lost to Arlovsky, you lost to Latifi, right? You lost to Nascimento. Your only win is over a guy who's a light heavyweight in OSP. You know
Tanner
what I mean?
Boser?
Like,
I mean, sure, but now you're getting iced by Iwan Kudalaba. You know, that's not better. That's not better than losing a decision to Andrei Arlovsky.
This is not a weight cutting issue, my friend. That's
no,
not
it's
his
not.
problem.
It's a light heavyweight is worse. A light heavyweight is a tougher division to be in if you're a big, slow guy. You know?
Yeah. It's not a good look, man. All around.
Yeah.
Like, I don't see any positives here outside of just his physique.
No. So this is a tough loss for Boser. For Kudalaba, it just keeps him treading water. I don't know, throw him in there with Alonzo Menafield or something like that next time. You know, keep him right there.
Yeah. He's such a freak show. I love it.
Yeah. All right. That brings us to a bantamweight bout. Pedro Munoz, Chris Gutierrez, and this was a really it started out as a great fight. Over time, I think this was the one where the crowd was booing, right? And the booth got all mad at the crowd for booing. I'm not saying I agree with the crowd. It wasn't a bad fight, but this was one of those fights that it was a simmer, and that's it. You know, like Pedro Munoz, he hit that big lunging left hand that dropped Gutierrez in round one. That put enough scare into Gutierrez that he didn't want to sit down on anything big for the rest of the fight. And so they just kind of popped and pot shot at each other for the next two rounds. And it's like, that's okay. But at that point, if
It was full chest. They went full chest. You never go full chest.
Exactly.
What do they used to say? The analysis or paralysis by analysis. Like there's just so many feints and inputs, and like you said, Gutierrez got stung early in the first round, so he was extra shy, and so those feints, he was reacting to them and extra cautious. And Munoz, bless his heart, he brings the forward pressure and he throws his volume out there, but doesn't land all the time. He's not the most accurate striker, but I thought there was just enough tension between the two to keep me engaged. Yeah. Even though the second and third just kind of, I mean, I think at one point I was kind of in the third, I was just judging on aggression, right?
Yeah, it's one of those things where
missing and stickiness going on.
It's also one of those things too, for where you're watching, and you're like, if you're Gutierrez's camp, he's not winning this fight. If you're his corner, like you got dropped. You're not sitting down on anything big. Munoz is the one landing the harder shots, even if you guys are going even 1-for-1 the whole rest of the way. And Gutierrez just never turned it up after that. Like he never got the message. I don't know how aggressive his corner was with him or whatever, but he could never get the message. Like, no, he didn't get the Arnold Allen round 5 message, where Arnold Allen has been losing this fight for 4 rounds, and his corner's like, yeah, go to war. Go round Dan Hooker round 5 and just go out there and try to blitz this dude. And that never happened for Gutierrez. So he's going to be kicking himself after this, because it's not like after that first round, Gutierrez survived. It's not like Munoz went out and blew him out of the water. He didn't run Gutierrez over after that. He just kept him on edge with the pressure. Yep. Just kept him on edge. So I can understand why the crowd is booing. I'm not saying it was a terrible fight, but it is the kind of fight where it's just like you get that one taste at the beginning, like, oh, this is awesome. They're going after it. Munoz has landed huge. Here's Gutierrez coming out with these hard kicks, and then after that's like, okay, nobody's gonna.
Yeah, the casuals tuned out after the first. Only the nerds are in it for the second and third.
Yeah,
like I said, I liked it. Like I didn't hate it.
Sure. That does put Munoz right back in the top 10, though, and
that was another thing. I think Gutierrez was getting gassed up because of that Frankie Edgar win.
Yeah, that is.
I was surprised he even got that fight, and he made the most of that moment, right?
He did.
Knockout, but that wasn't enough to be like, oh, he is going to come out and just do the same thing or anything similar to Pedro.
No. I thought he might win this because Munoz lately, and he was better about this fight than he's been lately. Munoz lately he's been a little more cautious, a little more back foot. He hasn't been the like aggressive pressure fighter. You think of that Sean O'Malley fight. You even think of the Frankie Edgar fight. Pedro Munoz couldn't win that Frankie Edgar fight, and he didn't get it that much further before Gutierrez did. Munoz is the last. He's the last win on Frankie Edgar's record.
Yeah, I did think about that going in, but I was like, but who is Gutierrez has ever beat anyone at the top in their prime?
I know. And so, I was thinking Munoz, if he's on his back foot, if he's trying to go out there and have just a pure kickboxing match with Gutierrez, he might lose that fight. But he came out aggressive. He came out and did the right thing, which is just, Danaa Batgaril, he dropped Gutierrez in the first round of their fight just by pressuring him and going after him with his hands. So Munoz did the same, and that paid off big for him. I think there's a fight coming up between Song Yadong and Ricky Simone. Pedro Munoz against the winner.
Scrappy.
Yeah. Love to see it.
Munoz is good for that, man.
Yeah.
He makes it scrappy.
Definitely.
You think he'll ever run it back with O'Malley?
No, I don't think O'Malley will ever care about Pedro Munoz again. I think Munoz, he goes out there, he fights everybody. He'll take any fight. He loves to go to war with anyone. He's never going to win enough to be back in the top contenders circle. And if he's not there, O'Malley is just not going to care ever again.
But
So,
Man.
like, Cheeto Vera can barely, like, O'Malley doesn't even want that fight back, and he lost that one.
Well, do you blame him?
A little. I blame him a little. All right. That gets us to a lightweight bout. Rafa Garcia, Clay Guida. This was the fight that, like, I was screaming at, forgetting Scott Holtzman for not having last time out. Whereas, like, Guida's just stepping in with all this light-fisted volume, just kind of throwing stuff out there, and Holtzman's just watching it and watching him do it. And it's like, what are you doing? He's right there in front of you. Just punch the man. And Rafa Garcia is seeing that, and he's going out, and he's just like, okay, here's a 1-2. Here's an uppercut. Here, you want to throw a little jab out here? Here's a much harder jab. And this was a pretty easy fight for Rafa Garcia on that note.
As it should have been. I feel like he did exactly what he was supposed to do, and he did what everybody should do against Clay Guida at this stage of his career. Like, the fact that Clay is even still around boggles my mind. I don't know how it's possible. I don't know how he's been getting the wins he's been getting.
He faked everybody out with the retirement. He took the gloves off. He got the mic. DC's all like...
Bro, I already had the fucking... drafting up the article, Garcia retires Guida, and he's like, psych, and I'm like, you motherfucker, because you know how long it takes to draft up these new posts on WordPress.
It takes forever. Really, it was. And like, what? I mean, I get it. It's his career. I'm not going to ever be the guy who tells the guy, hey, you got to retire. You gotta hang him up. You know, I don't know what Guida's. He's got a fishing business. You never know what else people got going on in their lives. If he's not fighting, you don't know what somebody's going to be doing. And I heard, so like, to me, it's also like, you're not, but why? Like, why are you not retired? Like, what do you? I know you love it, but. I got
no place else to go. It's one of those
I don't
things.
know. You know what? Clay Guida, he can do his own thing, but that was extremely lame. Just like, especially too, like, Rafa Garcia is having his moment here, and you're just gonna like steal a little of his thunder for a little prank. I did like though that DC like cut him off the moment he realized he wasn't going to retire, and he's like, "Okay, I'm walking away."
Yeah, but credit to Clay Guida for shouting out happy birthday to his mother. So if it took a little prank to get that shout out, you got to make moms happy. Mother's Day is a month away.
Yeah. All right, that brings us to a featherweight bout: Bill Algeo, TJ Brown. Credit to Brown, and because he went out there and he just took it to Bill Algeo. Brown's been in the past. He's been a little bit of a slow starter, or a guy who can get tagged up a bit in the beginning of fights. And Algeo is usually the dude who just goes out and puts it on people from the jump. So I expected Algeo to start really strong, and Brown just went out there and went ham on it. Absolutely taking it to him every chance he got. And if Bill Algeo was not, if he was just a little less tough, if he was just a little bit stupid tough in the way that he is in particular, he probably would have lost that fight. But man can take an ass beating and still come back. And that knockout, like, it wasn't even like he turned the tide or anything. Brown's still going after him, hammer and tongs, and he just walked right into that left hook. And that was it. Wrapped up his neck.
That's the thing about Algeo is he has those Diaz punches where I mean they don't look like they hurt. They almost look like arm punches. But the timing and the location of the strikes, it catches people when they're not expecting it, and it hurts them and it rocks them. And damn, dude, the sleaze here. I honestly thought Brown was just gonna pass out. I didn't think he was gonna tap. Like, he thought about it. I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna tap. But man, I think Algeo, he was right there on the brink of defeat and was like, I think I'll win. His nose was all busted up. Credit to him for digging deep and having the balls to call out Kansas City for being a dump.
That's right. He made no friends and had the night's other fake retirement speech where he started out everything with like, my life's really good. I'm in a really good place. I love my wife. I've got a beautiful kid. And you'll have to drag my corpse. I actually kind of liked that. Like, that was cute. He won, so he already had the mic. He wasn't wasting anybody's time out there. But,
right.
Sure.
Then
he just got on a weird.
You dump on the city you're fighting in. I'm here for it. You want to turn heel as you're fighting in the city and not be able to go to your own after party.
Sure. Why not?
It's fun for me sitting at home.
That's true. Now, there's one fight, though, after that I have to see. Bill Algeo, Daniel Pineda.
Talk about a barn burner.
Right?
Man.
Just two
that's
hard-nosed. Yeah.
It screams a war with like a late third round submission of some sort.
And just two dudes getting cracked all the way through.
Yeah. That reeks. It reeks of a club and sub.
Yeah. I got to see that fight.
Which
especially right now.
This is the club and sub. Just
it was. We get the club and sub for here. We got to set up future club and subs. Everybody loves a club and sub. And Pineda's coming off a win right now. Algeo's coming off a win right now. Make this fight. You got a fun, weirdly aggressive dude fight in the featherweight division. Give me that fight. All right.
That's brilliant, Zane. That's brilliant.
Shock of the night. Brandon Royval, Matthews Nicolau. I'm not saying that
Shock of the night.
I'm not saying that Royval couldn't have won this fight, but if somebody was gonna get a counter KO, I would not have at any point guessed it would be Brandon Royval. Royval is the swarming pressure fighter. Nicolau is the bread and the bone counter fighter. For Royval to get the counter step knee KO, that to me was a shock.
Yeah, I mean, showing off some venom. I think he probably shocked himself, honestly.
Yeah.
It was kind of, just best case scenario. The planets aligned just perfectly, that he kind of dipped into it. He threw it, and they tweeted out a still shot of Nicolau getting just blasted with it, and his eyes are crossed.
Oh
man. He got posterized, man.
He really did. That is going on the highlight reel forever. Rough for Nicolau because, he hadn't lost since he got cut from the UFC the first time back in, what was that? That was in 2018. And that had been, so that was a knockout loss, and that was his first loss since 2012 TKO to Pedro Nobre. So we're talking every 6 years, Matthews Nicolau just gets slept devastatingly. Hopefully the UFC doesn't cut him again this time because they had no business cutting him off. One loss to Dustin Ortiz in 2018. And
I wonder what that was about, because
it was the point where every time a flyweight lost, they cut him because they were trying to slowly get rid of the division. Okay. And then somewhere when they got down to 5, somebody was just hold up, this is a terrible idea. And then they just signed another, 35 odd flyweights. And now we've got 40 of them.
Yeah. No one saw this knee coming. No. Especially Mateus.
No. No way, no how. That's why I'm saying it's a shock of the night. Otherwise, worth noting, fight of the night did go to Algeo versus Brown, which it had to. Good. And Brandon Royval. Yeah, Brandon Royval and Edson Barboza and Jillian Robertson, who we'll talk about in a minute here, got performance of the nights. Those are all well-deserved. I'm glad to see the UFC handing out extra bonuses, even if it's just one. All right, that brings us to a light heavyweight bout. Zach Cummings, Ed Herman, And for a fight that really seemed like it had no reason to be booked, two guys that you looked at it and you're like, weren't they both already retired? Like, why did we drag these guys back off their couches to have this fight? This was a ton of fun. And it was really nice at the end because, I mean, Ed Herman, you don't want to see the old guy get slept. But both men retiring, Zach Cummings getting to retire off a huge win in front of a hometown crowd that was cheering for him the whole way. And for Ed Herman, a dude who's put that much into MMA, given that much of himself, to go out on a war with the crowd screaming for you, even if it's not a win, like that's about the second best way to go out, So...
Dude, I was crying my fucking eyes out, dude. I was so touched by the moment. I'm not even going to lie. I was so happy for both of them. Like, they poured everything. Well, for one, they dedicated their lives to their art, and I always respect that. And for them to lay it all out there, such a crazy war. I mean, we got knockdowns, toughness, heart. We got a little rally from Herman. It was just a beautiful moment. And it's touching to see such a raw moment for these human beings. Like, we get to be voyeurs and just watch in on this, someone who dedicates their whole life, and the ending moment, we all just get to show up and look at it. And it's kind of weird for us, but it's awesome that they open their lives to us in that kind of way. Like, man, it tore through me when, Zach's out there and, he's kind of talking about his family and everything. And then, he said he never made it to a title and just kind of started breaking down crying. I'm just like, oh, that's got to sting. You know what I mean? Like, you put so much into it and there's just tiers to it and levels to it and you never just quite make it there. Like, that's got to rip at you. But, going out on a win, very rare.
And at home,
rare. And at home.
And yeah, it was a cool moment, really cool moment. Oh, that does remind me now of the fact that Rafa Garcia, he could barely get through his post-fight speech because he was so overwhelmed at the idea that Clay Guida was about to retire. And like,
I know.
He was just so like, you can't believe it, like all that.
Fucking Clay Guida. Man.
Yeah. All right.
That's the equivalent to that's the lay and pray of pranks right there. That Clay Guida
That's
did.
the Rickroll. That's the Rickroll of Octagon speeches. All right. Yeah. We got a women's strawweight bout now. Jillian Robertson, Piera Rodriguez, and this is one of those level tests for Rodriguez. Robertson, she's been around now for a while. She's fought a bunch of people. She's won a lot of fights, lost a lot of fights. She's got a good takedown game. She's got a great submission game. This is, you fight her. That's the question. It's like, can you stay on your feet? If you can stay on your feet, Jillian Robertson is very beatable. If you can't, Piera Rodriguez couldn't. And she gets handed a harsh loss. Real rough wake up, because a lot of that too was, part of it was Jillian Robertson hitting that single leg in the first round and then realizing that Piera Rodriguez had no idea how to defend a single leg at all.
The beauty of that single leg is it was from a guard pull wrestle up to a single leg, complete, convert, get on top and dominate. So anytime I see any kind of jiu-jitsu person pulling a guard and wrestling up right away, I get flashbacks of Damian Maya, and I am here for it. It's such it's such the calm, here, come lay on top of me. Psych, sweep.
That was nice, but it did also, it told Jillian Rodriguez didn't know how to defend a single leg, because then she started round 2 and she just grabbed it immediately and took her right down. And so part of it was that, and then Piera Rodriguez, the grappling, it's just not there. Really, a lot of bad decisions made on the mat.
Tons of bad decisions and just phenomenal. Robertson's grappling is her bread and butter. It's her MO. And her moving down to strawweight to do that is just going to serve her real well.
Yeah,
And that
she
armbar was
looked
so
strong.
smooth. That
That was a
spinning
great
armbar.
Yeah, that was
And
a great
I was
armbar.
he called it a
Rodriguez
verbal
definitely
tap.
tapped. Yeah, she tapped for real though. She reached out. She tapped once. I don't know if she screamed after that. I didn't actually hear the verbal tap.
I'm not big on single taps.
I know.
I
I'm
don't know.
not. But like, you know,
I'm big on the referees making a discretion call and
sure,
saying, I'm not going to let you break your arm in front of me. You're not intelligently defending. I'm stopping the fight. I totally respect that, and I agree with that stoppage.
Yep.
But I didn't like the protest. I thought that was kind of in bad taste.
Yeah, she was stuck, and her complaining about it. There's no reason. Like, you lost. You got beat.
Right.
We don't want to see you get your arm ripped off. I know it's humbling, and fighters, being humble is like against the very nature of being a fighter. But you're gonna have to take that one on and move on.
Yeah.
All right.
Good for Jillian.
Yeah. Afterwards, she said she's like wants top competition. I don't know. I mean, she's probably at the best that she's gonna be in her career. She's been in this game now she's only 27, but she's been here for 7 years now. She should be hitting her peak, and throw her up in there somewhere. Maybe Luana, or not. Was it Luana Pinheiro who won against?
I don't want to see her in any other fight against anybody other than Mackenzie Dern.
Oh, that's not going to happen anytime soon.
That's what I want to see. Until then, I don't really care. Until then, I got Jillian Robertson by submission.
Jillian Robertson, you heard it here first. Eddie Mercado will never care about another fight in your entire career.
That's not what I said. I said I'm picking her by submission. I'm picking her by submission against everybody except for Dern.
You said you didn't care.
Except for Dern.
All right.
Let me correct myself.
All right. That brings us to a lightweight bout. Daniel Zellhuber, Lando Venata. And, man, like, nobody fights up and down to the level of their competition the way Lando Venata does. Literally, you put him in there against Tony Ferguson, he will go to war with Tony Ferguson. You put him in there against Daniel Zellhuber, he will go to war with Danny Zellhuber.
Yeah, he's Alex Caceres.
Yeah, right? Absolutely.
Like,
and the biggest thing is
mirrors. They're mirrors of their opponents.
Yeah. The biggest thing is for Venata, it's always been the dude he stops and takes pictures in front of people. He starts outside, he jumps into the pocket, he throws something slick, and then he watches it for a second to see what's going to happen. And what happens like 9 times out of 10 is he gets hit really hard, really clean. And he just did that a couple times against Zellhuber, and Zellhuber dropped him. Just started tagging him up. And it's always going to be a problem for Venata. There's all this slickness and fluidity, and like you see all the moves, you see it all in isolation. You're like, wow, that's really cool. And then you see it in the fight, you're like, that was really cool for a second until you got hit harder than I've seen anybody ever get hit before. Like, how did you walk so firmly into that shot? So, and this is a rough loss because, like, you just lost to a dude who got beat by Trey Ogden. Dude who was barely clinging to a roster spot.
But, like, not just lost to Trey Ogden, lost a stand-up battle to Trey Ogden. And
Zellhuber looked great. He looked way better out there this fight. He actually put his strikes together. He let his hands go. He did the exact thing he should have done against Ogden.
He swung.
Yeah. But nonetheless, like, Venata's now on back-to-back losses. He has no wins. His only win against somebody still in the UFC is his 2016 win over John McDessie.
Wow. I mean, that was a fantastic win.
It was a great win, but like, some point, Venata, the style is going to not be enough. I wouldn't be surprised if his UFC road ends before long here. Because, what do you match him up with off this? I honestly think they should run back the McDessie fight.
I think you're right about that. Kind of like loser down match, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. McDessie's been fighting a lot better than Venata lately, so it's kind of a step back for McDessie, but it's a chance to get back a win that, he one of the worst losses of his career.
They're both coming off of losses, so
yeah.
That's actually not a terrible idea. But I mean, if not, then got to be some other prospect that's had maybe one UFC fight or contender series, debut, something along those lines, and like a UFC gatekeeper. That's
low. That's a low place for Lando Venata to be, man. All right, let's talk about now women's strawweight bout. Denise Gomes, Bruna Brazil. This was a great fight for Gomes. She has always pressured a ton in the past. She does not throw a ton in the past. You watch a lot of her old fights, even her wins, would be her just walking in on people over and over and over again and getting cracked with shots and wearing them down over time to the point that she could put them away. But she just let it all go against Brazil out there and just kind of ran her over.
Love to see it. Someone willing to just throw their hands with enthusiasm and confidence. And Brazil just didn't seem prepared for the horsepower coming at her.
No, Brazil did not.
Yeah, she was just having really bad reactions to the haymakers. And
yeah, I thought coming in, neither of these women were really ready for the UFC, but Gomes in this fight looked ready, and Brazil, she looked like she was not ready. She looked like she needed a few more regional fights, a few more softer steps to, really get her game together.
And that's what this reminded me of, was a regional fight where one fighter is just more aggressive. Like they are just more furious, and I don't think for a second that Gomes is a better technician.
No,
but she's just a better athlete and more of a true fighter, a pure fighter.
Yep. Just ready to be on the front foot, ready to be durable, ready to take shots, and ready to step in and land with power. Worked out for her. Makes me a lot more interested to see what she can do next. That takes us to a bantamweight bout. Gaston Bolaños against Aaron Phillips. And this is more competitive than I thought it would be, honestly.
Yeah, I don't know how Phillips came up with those positions. They would seem like miracles. Like he would get this takedown and land in full mount, and then boom, he's on the back with body angle, and you're like, what? Because you're getting tuned up on the feet. It looks like you don't even belong there.
Yeah.
But the second it hit the mat, it's like, holy shit, okay. You are obviously skilled, and you were in dominant positions where you could have ended the fight. Didn't happen, but you were at least getting there, and you made it close. It was a respectable showing.
Yeah, a lot better than Phillips has done in most of his UFC bouts. For Bolaños, it's a bit, if you're his corner, you want this to be a little bit of a wake-up call. Be like, this is a fight you were supposed to walk through. This was your soft intro to the UFC. This dude that you're facing has never won on anything but the lowest regional level. All of his steps up have been losses before. And Bolaños passed that part of the test. He won the fight. But if you're his corner, you're going to be coming out of this being like, you got to step it up. You got to have more attention to your counter grappling and wrestling, because other people can do that, what that guy did.
Yeah, and finish from those positions.
Yeah.
So good, big wake up call. But man, what a career that guy's having, though, man. He's doing the whole tour circuit.
That's right. He's got to walk out of he's going to get injured. He's got to get injured and have 5 fights canceled, get released, and then go to the PFL. That's got to be the next move for Gaston Bolaños.
It's gotta. It's his last stop, or I don't know. Maybe he can get over into one somehow.
There we
in
go.
a trade. I don't know. Let's get Rod Tang out here.
That's right, Rod Tang. Bring. You can have all the gas. You can have 4 Gaston Bolañoses for 1 Rod Tang, please. All right.
It's fun.
That brings us to our final fight of the card. Catchweight bout. Jocelyn Edwards, Lucy Pudilova. I mean, I don't care about
first. Damn this fight.
Yes,
we'll start there.
The thing.
Damn this fight. Go ahead.
This fight sucked, and I don't care about it. But also, that was really terrible judging. That's a robbery. Lucy Pudilova won the fight.
Do me a favor, bring stats if you have them for that first round.
I have the stats.
Did Pudilova land a strike at all? I don't remember her doing anything other than control.
She landed 8 strikes to Edwards' 17 in the first round.
Yeah, so
with
if someone
3
gave
minutes
Edwards,
of control.
If someone gave Edwards that first round, I'm okay with that. And if someone gave Edwards the third, I'm okay with that too. So I can't call this robbery, even if the broadcast. Nah, dude, you hold someone down for 3 minutes and do nothing, and they get up and tune you up for 5 seconds. I'm going to give them the round. They're doing damage. They were close to finishing the fight.
I'm pretty sure Pudilova landed a few solid shots from guard, but more to me, the bigger thing is that when she was on the ground, she did actually like advance positions and get to good grappling positions on Edwards.
I scored the first round for Pudilova because of that. I thought she.
I think that should be scored. I think that kind of thing, when you have a round like this, where it's not like Edwards did a ton of damage to Pudilova either, you don't really have a damage bias to score from. I think, I don't like to see people just holding somebody down the ground, but if you're advancing position, you're getting to side control, you're getting to mount, you're getting to from guard to half guard, whatever. That to me is good, aggressive, offensive grappling, and it should score. So,
sure, but a robbery, come on.
I think it was at least. I'm shocked. I think it was a really. I'm surprised that 2 out of 3 judges were willing to give that fight to Edwards. Now, I picked Edwards to win it, so I'll take every win I can get off a card like this.
I picked over to win, and I scored the fight for her, but I'm just not interested in the robbery conversation here.
Sure. Okay, fine. All right, let's jump back up to the top real quick. We got just a little bit more time here. Max Holloway, Arnold Allen. So the question now is, of course, Holloway slams the door on Arnold Allen. So what does Max Holloway do next? Because
I don't know, dude.
I mean, let's look at featherweight rankings. You got Max Holloway. You got ranked under him is Brian Ortega, then Arnold Allen. Yeah. Then Josh Field. Yeah, then Josh Emmett. Then Chan Sung Jung is still ranked 6th. Then Calvin Kattar. Then Giga Chikadze, all of whom are coming off losses. Everybody below Arnold Allen, down to Ilya Topuria, who is coming off a win and booked against Josh Emmett. Everybody ranked below him in the top 10 is coming off a loss right now, pretty much.
Not only that, but he's also beat them all. So
yeah, and he's beat them all.
You got to do the winner of Emmett Topuria, I guess.
Yeah, especially if it's Topuria.
Yeah.
It's either that or you go try your luck back at lightweight again. He said he's interested. Or you hope and pray that Yair Rodriguez beats Alexander Volkanovski. But if Yair does that, they're just going to give Volkanovski a rematch. Like, you got to give Volk a rematch if Yair beats him. He's, he has been an amazing champion in that division. You got to give the man a rematch. So I don't really. Yeah. If he goes up to,
it's no man's land.
Yeah.
You need to make a Yeah, what's up with the Intercontinental title?
There we go. Yeah, we need an Intercontinental belt here in the UFC. If we go back up to lightweights, the only let's see, the big thing that, well, I mean, I've heard, the UFC saying that if Oliveira and Dariush, the winner of that gets Makhachev next.
Did something happen to that fight?
Oliveira got injured and it's been pushed back a few weeks. But they don't want the Makhachev fight until Abu Dhabi in October. So that fight could get pushed back to June or July. And it would still be, the winner of that could still be lined up to fight Makhachev in October. Which is too bad, because Charles Oliveira, Max Holloway is a fight that I would not at all mind seeing if Max Holloway were to jump back up to lightweight.
When is Aljo versus Henry Cejudo?
Aljo versus Cejudo is going down at UFC 288 on May 6th. So next month.
I would love to see Cejudo and Holloway. But I know Merab is right there, deserving of a title shot too. And I already told him I think Cejudo is going to beat Aljo.
Yeah.
But I would love to see maybe, actually, honestly, the winner or the loser of that. I could see him welcoming Aljo up to 45.
Sterling has kept talking about doing it at some point. It could be a fight.
Might be cool.
But yeah, you got to start thinking laterally with Holloway at this point, because
and we're just gonna have to see how lightweight, featherweight, and bantamweight kind of play out, and see who's moving up, who's moving down. Does Max want to move up? Does Max want to move down? He's got problems getting booked here, but it could be a fun kind of problem to solve if the UFC plays it right. So
also has to be said, just a little bit, that maybe the UFC made a mistake booking this Arnold Allen fight. Allen was he was a fresh contender for the belt and on the rise, and you put a fresh contender in against Max Holloway, you lose a fresh contender.
That ain't nothing new, and we've seen it doesn't matter, because they could still turn around and fight for the title too. And that's kind of the thing. You go in and you lose to Max. You go in and you lose to Volkanovski.
That's just. I mean, I'm not saying that this was a good proving point that Arnold Allen would not have been ready for a title shot with Volkanovski. I'm just saying you got to have fights to book. You got to be able to book title fights. Then again, Volkanovski also really champing at the bit for a rematch with Makhachev. So, if he beats Yair Rodriguez and doesn't have a title challenger lined up to face him afterward, he's going to be campaigning to go back up to lightweight.
Yeah. But, I mean, if Max can come out, Max could fight his way to talk himself into a fourth installment.
A fourth, he's lost all three. I mean, the third one was the worst one too. That's the really hard thing.
I know. If there's nobody else.
Yeah. All right. We're just spinning our wheels at this point. We're gonna wrap this up. You can find me on Twitter at Zane Simon. You can find Eddie on Twitter at Eddie Mercado. Before I stupidly just sign off and leave you all, go to the Bloody Elbow Podcast Substack. You will get cool bonus content. We are going to jump right over there and record a little bonus show that will go up with this, that is exclusive to Substack subscribers. So jump on our Substack, sign up to that. Thanks everyone for listening. And we will be back in 1 week's time for UFC Fight Night, Pavlovich versus Blades, going down at the UFC Apex in Las Vegas, Nevada. Thanks everyone for tuning in, and we'll see you then.